Hello and welcome back to Enlighten Us, your easy path to learning Arabic grammar. You are joining us for lesson 6. We are looking at demonstrative pronouns, asma'ul ishara. Now in English, to indicate, refer to or point out what we are talking about, we use the following words. We use this for something that is singular and near to us. We use these for two or more objects and that are near. We use that for something that is singular but further away, and those for when you've got two or more objects or people and that are far. Similarly in Arabic, we have 10 distinct demonstrative pronouns or asma'ul ishara. هذا، هذه، هذان، هاتان، هؤلاء، ذلك، تلك، ذانك، تانك، أولئك. What you'll notice is that the first set are used for items or people that are near. The second set, on the other hand, are used for items or people that are further away. What you'll also notice is that the first column is for singular items, but I say that with a caveat and I'll explain what I mean a little bit later. The second column is for the jul, the muthanna, and the last column is for the jam, the plural. We also have a separation, as we've seen before, by gender, so into masculine, so the third and the first rows are for your masculine objects, or your mudhakkar, and your second and your fourth are for your mu'annath, your feminine. Now, and this is what I meant earlier, all of the demonstrative pronouns, all of the asma'ul ishara can be used for what we term al-aqil. So this is a person or people. So if you want to refer to or point to a person or to a group of people, you can use any one of these. What we term, however, as ghayrul aqil, so these are animals, inanimate objects, or even concepts, we can only use the singular or the dual asma'ul ishara. If you're talking about a plural of something, you use the feminine, so hadihi or tilka. This will become more apparent as we look at some examples, but just bear that in mind. Before we move on and look at our examples, I do have a bonus pointer for you, and that's daka. Daka is used for items, one item rather, that is masculine, and it's a sort of item that's not too far away, but not particularly near either, so middle of the way. Well, let's have a look at some examples. So we have هذا كتاب, this is a book. Note here that the ism al-ishara that's being used, هذا, is singular and masculine, and what is being referred to, كتاب, is also singular and masculine. In example 2, we have هذه امرأة, this is a woman. Similarly, our ism al-ishara and what's being pointed to are a match. هذان الرجلان يقرآن. These two men are reading, and again, the pointer that's being used, as well as what's being pointed to, as you can see, are a match. هاتان طبيبتان. These two are female doctors. And again, the pointer hatan matches what is being pointed to, what is being referred to. هؤلاء المنافسون فازوا. These competitors won. again, we see the pointer being used, the ism al-ishara, and the munafisun, what's being pointed out, is a match. ذلك قلم جديد, that is a new pen. Again, we're seeing the same thing. ذلك رجلان صادقان, these two men are honest. Again, it's the same thing, it's a match. And similarly here, تانك سيارتان سريعتان, those two are fast cars. Again, it's a match. أولئك محاسبون, those are accountants. And again, what we're using as a pointer and what we're pointing to matches. Matches in terms of, we're pointing out here, matching in terms of number and in terms of gender. ذاك قلم, that is a pen. Again, we have a match. This is where things get interesting. So we have the sentence here, تلك الأقلام جديدة. If you notice here in the English translation, those pens are new, those. So we're using the plural demonstrative pronoun in English, but in Arabic we're using tilka. So qalamun, or pens, are plural and masculine. And there's no feminine indicator here, so al-aqlamu are masculine. And plural, there's three or more here. But the pointer being used, the ism al-ishara being used, tilka, is singular and feminine. That's because aqlam are not people. It's not aqil. It falls under the ghayr al-aqil, inanimate object. So if you remember, when you have the plural of those, you use the feminine pointer. One of the feminine pointers, in this case, tilka, because we're talking about something over there. Similarly here we have هذه كتب. And if you notice, we're using these are books, so we're using these in English, so we're using the plural demonstrative pronoun. But kutub is plural and masculine. Again, there's no feminine indicator here, so it's masculine. The ism al-ishara being used, however, is singular and feminine. It's hadihi, and again, kutub is an inanimate object. I want to move on and I want to talk about states. And if you remember from previous videos that we've done, we've said isms have a state. Now they're called asma al-ishara. Asma al-ishara are isms, and undoubtedly they also have a state. If you'll notice, for the singular and for the plural, how the word looks remains consistent whether the word ism al-ishara is in rafa, nasab or jar. Same with the plural. For the jul, however, the examples that we've seen have been for the rafa. If the ism al-ishara happens to be in nasab or jar, it changes. So hadani becomes hadaini, hatani becomes hataini, danika becomes dainika, tanika becomes tainika. It's just something worth noting, and it's something we'll go into and I'll point out when we look at more examples and as we advance through. We have come to the end of the lessons, so we are going to have a mulakhas, we're going to have a summary. This is your reminder to memorize asma al-ishara. There are 11 of them, or 11 that we've seen today. So 5 for the near, 5 for the far, and then 1 for an item that's neither near or far. We said that the plural of them cannot be used for animals, inanimate objects or concepts, that they can only be used for people. If you do have a plural, so if you do have 3 or more animals or 3 or more inanimate objects, or you're referring to 3 or more concepts, so for instance, if you're talking about 3 cats, or if you're talking about 3 pens, or if you're talking about 3 languages, what you then would use is the singular feminine, so either tilka or hadihi, depending if you're trying to say this or that, so if you're talking about something that's near or far. So just remember that, use the single feminine for plurals of these items. The singular and dual, however, can be used for people, can be used for animals, can be used for inanimate objects and concepts. And lastly, a comment on state, the jewel changes depending on what state it's in. So it looks one way in Rafa and it looks a different way in Nasab and Jar. And again, memorize that, learn that. Thank you for joining us for today's lesson. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Check out the description box for additional resources and please join us in the next one, Insha'Allah.